going on, everybody? It's Nick100, and today we are back with another top 10 LEGO minifigures video for you guys. And today I am counting down the top 10 LEGO DC Villains minifigures that the LEGO group has made over the years. Now, these are just my personal preference. If you guys have a very different top 10, then that's perfectly okay. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I have 10 of my personal favorite DC Villains minifigures here for you guys. I tried to refrain from using Batman villains, but I actually do have a couple on here. If you're wondering as to why, I'm actually thinking about saving the Batman villains for another video. I might even do their own top 10. But as you can see right here with this opening shot right here, this is just kind of to reflect like my ideology of heroes and villains. Essentially, what I believe is that the heroes are only great because of their villains. And there's no better hero-villain dynamic than Batman and the Joker. So, I've been rambling on for long enough, so let's get right into my top 10. Okay, so before we get into my top 10, I forgot to mention in the intro that I rated these figures off of 3 factors. The unique factor of these figures, the printing quality, and the third is just kind of like my overall favorite. So, starting off at number 10, we have Bat-Zaro. Now, in case you guys don't know, Bat-Zaro is essentially the Bizarro version of Batman. So, Bat-Zaro is the world's worst detective. This was an exclusive minifigure that came with a LEGO DC Comics Superheroes movie. It was like a straight-to-home video DVD. But the movie was pretty good, you know, especially geared towards kids. But this figure is really cool. It's just, we've never had like a pink suited Batman minifigure before. And we have like this really cool like tattered and torn cape. And he just has a really cool facial expression. And the only reason that I have him at number 10 is based off of that unique factor that I just mentioned. Because this character is definitely unique and this minifigure is just as unique. So that's it for number 10. So let's move on to number 9. Moving along to number 9, we have Gorilla Grodd. Now, Gorilla Grodd's one of my favorite DC villains. He's actually one of my favorite Flash villains. Personally, I think he deserves more on the Flash TV show instead of like 2-episode story arcs. But Gorilla Grodd is still really cool. This big fig was released in the LEGO Justice League sets from the Winter 2015 wave, and those are probably my favorite wave of DC sets ever. And I can't wait to see the Justice League movie sets in person, because those are going to be really cool. But Gorilla Grodd's pretty cool. Now, he's at number 9, mostly because, in my personal opinion, I love this big fig, but he's not as unique, or the quality, like printing-wise, isn't like as good as it is on other figures. But that's pretty cool, though. He has some nice printing here on his chest and on his toes. I didn't actually do a review of this set, even though I got it, which I'm kind of bummed about, but oh well. Bygones will be bygones. So, I think that is it for number 9, so let's move on to the number 8 slot. At number 8, we have Brainiac. Now, the Brainiac figure came out in the same wave as Gorilla Grodd in those LEGO Justice League sets, and Brainiac is one of my favorite DC villains as well, and I have him at number 8, kind of for the same reasons as Gorilla Grodd. He's a great figure, and I think he's well designed. He's one of my personal favorites, but still, like, the quality and the amount of detail is kind of scarce compared to the other figures on here. So, that's why I have him at number 8, but Brainiac is really cool. I can't wait to see him in Injustice 2, which actually drops tonight. You guys will be seeing this on May 16th when it's released, but tonight it's May 15th, and GameStop is releasing Injustice 2 at 9 p.m. So I think that's really cool, and I'm definitely going to go and pick it up right after I'm finished recording. So I think that's it for number 8, so let's move on to number 7. Moving right along to number 7, we have the Trickster. Now, like Bat-Zaro, the Trickster was also an exclusive minifigure to a LEGO DC Superheroes like direct home DVD that I also got. And this figure is really cool. I have a number 7, mostly because I do love this character, and I think that this character, or this minifigure, has a lot better printing, especially on an exclusive minifigure like that. Leg design is really cool. And the Trickster he's not one of my favorite villains, but it's just the overall unique factor that this character, or that this figure has, is why he got a spot on this list. And I actually wasn't originally going to include him on this list, but then I kind of decided last second. So that's why the Trickster is at number 7. So let's move on to number 6. At number 6, we have Darkseid. Now, Darkseid, if I had to rank like my top 3 favorite DC villains, I think Darkseid would be in that top 3. Darkseid is just such a cool character, and this figure was released in the same wave as Brainiac and Gorilla Grodd in those Justice League sets. That was actually probably my favorite set of that entire wave that this figure came in. Darkseid's really cool. He has a lot of nice printing. I think he's pretty well designed. And again, it's like the unique factor. It's just we have yet to see another Darkseid big fig, and we're probably not going to get one for another few years or so. So until then, this figure will do. Like, this figure's spectacular, and it's still amazing after 2 years. So that is it for number 6. So let's move on to the top 5. Next up at number 5 is Lex Luthor, especially the Lex Luthor Power Armor minifigure. This figure was, I believe, it was a pre-order bonus for Lego Batman 2, and I actually didn't get this figure until like a year ago because I missed out on it 5 years ago. But this figure is absolutely awesome, and this is the first time that we actually got this Lex Luthor figure with his like iconic power armor. So I think that is really cool, and I think DC and Warner Brothers need to put this in a movie because that would be so cool to see in live action. But this figure is really cool too, mostly because of the unique factor and my personal preference. It's just because this figure is so awesome. And if you're a Lego DC collector, this is definitely one that you have to pick up on Bricklink or eBay, whatever you can find cheapest. So that's it for number 5. So let's move on to number 4. At number 4, we have Captain Boomerang. Now, I really love this figure, and that's why it's on my number 4 spot. And I love this figure mostly because Captain Boomerang is one of my favorite Flash villains, and he's also one of my favorite members of the Suicide Squad in the comics, and he was awesome in the Suicide Squad movie last year. And this figure is just really cool. It's pulled straight out of the comics, pulled straight out of Lego Batman 3. And something that came with this figure that was really sick were these 2 Boomerang pieces. He has a very simplistic printing design on the back, but on the front, it just looks awesome. And I think Lego nailed it with this figure. So that's why he's at number 4. So I think that is it for number 4. So let's move on to the final 3 slots. Starting off the final 3, we have Deadshot. Now, I absolutely love Deadshot as a character. He's one of my favorite. He is like my definitive favorite member of the Suicide Squad. Will Smith did an awesome job portraying Floyd Lawton in the movies, and this figure is awesome. This figure is pulled straight out of Lego Batman 3, aside from the head, but I think the head is perfectly okay. This is like exactly Deadshot's suit from the comics and from Lego Batman 3, and Lego just copy and pasted it and just made this figure absolutely incredible. And Deadshot, he's not one of my favorite villains, but he is one of my favorite like mercenaries, like anti-heroes, if you could kind of understand where I'm getting at. But this figure is absolutely amazing. Lego did a really good job, especially on the arms here where they have his wrist guns. And here on the torso and stuff, they got his logo and everything perfectly. The only thing I wish, though, was that maybe they did like a double molded, like, chrome boots on red legs. That just would have made this figure, like an extra 110% greater. But I think that is it for number 3, so let's move on to number 2. Alright, before we get into number 2, I know you guys are going to say, Nick, I thought this was a top 10. Well, I honestly could not decide between these 2 figures, and I've done ties in my other top 10 minifigures series before from a couple years ago, but this time, you know, this is probably like the only time from now on where I'll have a tie. We'll have to see in future videos, but the number 2 slot is a tie between Black Manta and Poison Ivy from the Lego Batman movie. I love these 2 figures to death. Poison Ivy is one of my favorite Batman villains, and Black Manta... well, he's not one of my favorite villains, but he is one of my favorite minifigures that LEGO has made. I love these two figures to death. That's why I have them on here, and I just think that they were designed so well, especially Poison Ivy, and especially Black Manta on his helmet piece. I mean, LEGO nailed that. Oh, knocked it over. Whoops. But anyway, Poison Ivy was absolute, like, Poison Ivy's an amazing figure. She came in the Scuttler set, and she also came in the Arkham Asylum set, but this Poison Ivy is from the Scuttler set, which I actually have, but I didn't end up reviewing. And Black Manta came out in the same wave as the Justice League sets, so with like Darkseid, Brainiac, and Gorilla Grodd. And I actually really can't wait to see Black Manta in the Aquaman movie. I hope Poison Ivy gets to be in a live-action movie really soon. So that's why I have them on here. Like, I love Black Manta just because of the way LEGO designed him, and I love the Poison Ivy figure because of all the printing and all the new pieces that they used. So that's why I have these two figures at a tie at number 2. So without further ado, let me show you guys my number 1 pick. Alright, so my number 1 pick for the top 10 LEGO DC minifigures, or the LEGO DC Villains minifigures, is Harley Quinn from the 2016 set. Now, some of you guys may agree with me on this, and some of you might not, but in my personal opinion, I love this figure. I think LEGO did a fantastic job with essentially just differentiating Harley Quinn from all of her past minifigures, like the red and black scheme, and they changed it up a little bit to a red and blue scheme, kind of like how she looked in the Suicide Squad movie and how she looked in some versions of the New 52. But the printing on this figure is just uncanny. This figure is amazing. The hairpiece is amazing. It's just everything about this figure is amazing. I think Harley Quinn is, right now at least, one of the most like iconic DC characters, especially because of Margot Robbie's portrayal in Suicide Squad, and then her like immense popularity in recent years. So that's why I have Harley Quinn at number 1. Some runners-up included one of the Mr. Freeze minifigure from the LEGO Batman movie sets. I also had Captain Cold as a runner-up, or as an honorable mention. But what's done is done. This is my top 10 list, so let's move on to the closing of this video. Alright guys, that'll do it for my top 10 LEGO DC Villains minifigures for you guys. So, like I said in the intro to this video, this is just my personal opinion. If you guys have totally different favorites, then that is perfectly okay. I'm not trying to tell you what figures you should and should not like. So, if you guys have a favorite LEGO DC villain that the LEGO group has made, then put it down in the comments below. Make sure you leave a like on this video. I have a ton of more videos planned for the summer. This is coming right up. There's a few new sets coming out soon that I want to pick up, and I have even more videos planned out. So, like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, leave a comment like I just said, follow me on all my social media platforms, links are down in the description below. You can watch some of my other videos by clicking on the annotations on the screen now, and until the next video, I'll see you guys later. Bye!